Pressure's coming. Herbert in trouble, and down he goes. Herbert, pressure's coming, and he is sacked again. Pressure's coming, and Herbert still on his feet, and now he's taken down. Pressure coming, and he's sacked again.
This is his 11th batted ball of the year.
On third down, his pass is deflected at the line, and Cooper picks it off.
Herbert escaping. Gonna take off here, and out of bounds, takes the hit. 4th and 6, here comes the pressure. Herbert is sacked.
Being told it's a finger injury, and his return is questionable.
Yeah, you see him here getting taken down by Zach Allen. He gets up, Matt, and he starts shaking his hand.
As you can probably tell from that little clip show, Justin Herbert has had a bit of a tough season. And all of those hits eventually built up and resulted in a season-ending broken finger. When I first started looking at Chargers games this season, I was under the impression that this offensive line were truly just sorry pass protectors, and that was the problem with this team. But honestly, they are pretty okay. The issues here that have ruined another season of Justin Herbert's rookie contract Super Bowl window are coaching and team building. Herbert is a tremendous NFL quarterback, an elite one, who is viewed by the media sometimes as a loser by people who are not watching games closely enough. While he does not have a playoff win yet, this has nothing to do with the quarterback. This Chargers franchise, outside of him, is just absolutely atrocious. As a matter of fact, as I'm recording this, the Raiders are up by 49 on the Easton Stick Chargers. I have 6 main reasons that this organization has broken Justin Herbert. First off, an entire failure to create a run game. This offensive line cannot get push against anybody, and the running backs are far from dynamic enough to turn that blocking into big rushes. This line is genuinely awful in the run game. I very rarely see a gap where the running backs even have a chance. This run game has been really bad for a few years. I don't remember the last time it was good, but these past few years have been extremely underwhelming from the run blocking and the running backs. And there's been no real attempt from a team building perspective to bring in established run blockers or good running backs. I don't know the last time that this team signed an impact offensive lineman or a running back. Going into week 15 now, they have run 322 rush attempts on 835 total offensive plays, which is a ridiculously low 38% of offensive plays are runs. They are only averaging 3.9 yards per rush on those 322 rush attempts, so they're barely running the ball, and when they do, they're really bad at it. And they only have an average of 96 rush yards per game right now, an embarrassing 26th worst in the NFL. Pro Football Focus has ranked their run blocking as second worst in the league with an awful 44 run block grade. Secondly, this defensive scheme is an utter embarrassment. This defense is getting sliced game after game because they almost only just run 2 plays. I'll show you here. But I've pointed this out earlier in the season as well. This team almost always runs 1 of 2 coverages, and they tell you what it is pre-snap. And I have not seen a single disguise this season from either of these looks. If the Chargers press one corner, they are running man coverage. If they are running zone, everybody is playing off coverage. That's it. Let me say that again. The Chargers, an NFL team who hired a defensive-minded head coach for his expertise in defensive play calling, almost never deviate from 2 play calls, which are 100% readable by the positioning of one cornerback. If he's pressing, it's man. If he's off, it's zone. Every quarterback in Pee Wee football would be able to figure that out. If anybody finds a Chargers defensive play where they line up in either of those 2 looks, and it's a disguise where they actually switch their plays, please flag it in the comments, and I will check it out, and I will make you a video calling you a genius, because I cannot find it. They almost always just run those 2 vanilla plays, and will almost always tell you which coverage it is pre-snap. There is a look that they occasionally give where they put both of their middle linebackers up to the line of scrimmage to create some unclarity, but they don't really do this often, and it's a very limited look. in terms of how it opens up the middle of the field in the passing game, so they can't do it that much. This Chargers offense is always in shootouts, trading a touchdown for another touchdown, a score for a score. This forces more and more passing volume onto an offense that already has a significant tendency to pass the ball and doesn't threaten any defense with their run game anyway. So this horrible defensive scheme is largely directly contributing to the Chargers offense being forced into passing situations, where any threat of the rushing attack is entirely eliminated. I also want to note, I have not seen one single stunt from this defensive line the entire season. Please, if you've seen one or can find one, point it out in the comments. Again, I'll make a video calling you a genius and awesome. There is no excuse for a defensive coordinator head coach to not be stunting D linemen sometimes. If you don't know what a stunt is, that is where a defensive lineman is going to wrap behind around another defensive lineman, post-snap, attempting to confuse the blocking assignments and scheme up a free rusher or get a favorable surprise matchup against a weak pass defender with one of your best pass rushers. But Brandon Staley does not do this, ever. Other defensive head coaches, like Mike Tomlin, Bill Belichick, they run those like every game, and it creates success for their defenders. I don't think I can stress enough the fact that this is the highest paid defense of all time, this season or any other season. They're littered with elite players. Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, Derwin James, Asante Samuel. I know Joey Bosa's hurt now, but they stunk when he played still. They aren't the best defensive roster in football, but they're far from a bad roster. And it's the coaching and play calling that has their statistics looking like they're a team of losers. They are 27th in allowed points per game this season. That means 26 NFL teams, all of which who are paying their defense less money than the Chargers are all better defenses than the Chargers. They're allowing 260 passing yards per game, 4th worst in the whole league. All in all, this defense is just toothless. They're just bad. And it's because it's so easy to read. These are legitimately great players that are constantly being put in the wrong position. The third big issue with the Chargers is I think there are honestly just a bunch of plays on tape where the offensive line screws up their assignments and allows free rushers, while they have a free blocker just standing around. I'm not sure who is responsible for calling out blitzers while on the field. Could be Herbert, could be their center, but this goes back to coaching. Having the correct lineman blocking the correct defender cannot be a constant recurring issue. However it's happening on the field, coaches have to fix that. Diagnosing who is going to be blitzing and who's not is not always an easy task, especially while on the field. But this Chargers offensive line constantly screws it up. And that is because they are clearly very confused on what their assignments are supposed to be. And that is attributable purely to coaching. Fourth big reason is extremely vanilla offensive play calling to mirror their defense. So check out this all 22 of the Chargers. I'm going to show you a few clips of something infuriating I've noticed so many times this season. That is the Chargers have 2 or 3 receivers running a curl route on almost every single play, and it doesn't interact with any other routes in the play. If you don't know what a curl route is, it also goes by the name of a stick, but basically receivers just run upfield 3 to 5 yards, and then they turn around to their inside shoulder, the shoulder where the quarterback is, and they expect the ball to be there immediately. When the receiver turns around, the quarterback has already thrown it. Here's a play where 2 stick routes run right into each other and nearly knock both receivers out of the game. Here's a play where every single route is a stick. The problem with running so many curl routes on the same depth on the same play is that they would all come open at the exact same time. So, if you don't hit the curl route right when it comes open, the play is over. You can either have a turnover-worthy play, or you can throw it away. Either the hot route you are watching from the pre-snap is open, or it's not. Nobody else is continuing to run. Nobody else has any chance of getting open at any other time in the play. Not before, not after. Receivers turn around at the exact same time, and then for the rest of the play, they're literally just standing there. There are no progression of reads. Herbert cannot read one route, then progress to the next route, and then to the next. He can't just go through this offense and read his routes. He's literally just watching one route, and if it doesn't come open, the play is dead. It is fireable. When you have one of the biggest arm quarterbacks in the NFL, you need to have legitimate plays where routes interact with each other. You need to have plays where receivers flood zones. You need to have plays where receivers cross so that defenders have assignments switched. You need to have plays where you try to get receivers to run by each other and have defenders run into each other. That's what Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay and Mike McDaniel are always doing. That's why they're good offenses, because these routes interact with each other. If one route's not open, they can just progress to a different route that would be open after the timing of the first route is complete. The fifth reason here is this pass blocking. When I first started watching Chargers games, I had the notion that this offensive line was really just bad, and that was the main problem here. But truly, that's not the issue. They're not great, but when they line up and block, they are okay. However, they are constantly ending up in a huge amount of 3rd and longs due to a complete lack of a run game, and this offense is always being asked to match whatever shootout the opposing offense is doing, which is almost always just a score every single drive. So this offense cannot run the ball, they're often playing from behind in a shootout, and are usually in 3rd and long. Opposing defenses can be 100% confident that pretty much every 3rd down, the Chargers have to throw the ball. They can just disregard run responsibilities defensively and entirely lock in on maximizing that pass rush. This situation makes this offensive line look really poor. Pro Football Focus does have them ranked as perfectly average pass protectors, and skill-wise, I agree with that. But when this line is put into a guaranteed passing situation, with no possible threat of a run game, they are playing with the cards stacked against them, all the time, every single pass play. And when you combine that with their communication responsibility issues, then those things combine to make this offensive line look very bad. So individually, these are solid players. But as a unit right now, because of the coaching and the situation, it is a problem. Next up, the receivers here are not able to separate or catch for anything. Quentin Johnston is a physical freak with size and athleticism comparable to DK Metcalf, but the polish on his route running is far from being really even NFL ready, and the polish on his hands is also leaving a lot to be desired so far in his rookie season, and that was also a problem in college. Keenan Allen is awesome, but at this point in his career, he's had injuries, he's on the wrong side of 30. He's much more of a slot guy who works zones with his agility, football IQ, and great hands. He doesn't have much speed at this point in his career, never really did. Running back Austin Eckler and tight end Gerald Everett are truly the 2nd and 3rd pass options, and they're very solid options. They're not really ones that can lead to a dynamic passing game, or one that has the option to take a double team using one of these guys and scheme other people open. So now that Justin Herbert has been hurt directly as a result of all of this disaster, we are seeing very, very clearly how much of an elevator Justin Herbert is, and how atrocious this Chargers franchise is. Bluntly, it's time for a new general manager, head coach, who's also a defensive coach, and offensive coordinator. All 3 of these are hugely detrimental to any chances this team has to get to a Super Bowl with Justin Herbert during his rookie contract window or after. And obviously, with the way things are now, we are never going to see playoff success from this franchise. And even worse, we are going to have to watch another quarterback have his generational career ripped away, just like Andrew Luck's was. Probably cut short due to injury or getting sick of this disaster if things don't change.
Herbert stops, launches deep. Jalen Guyton, he's got it! Touchdown Chargers! What a throw!